everybody. So we're going to start off at Abijah, king of Judah. This is chapter 15. Good morning. Having a rare morning recording. Alright. In the 18th year of the reign of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, Abijah became king of Judah, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 years. His mother's name was Maacah, daughter of Abshalom. Not Absalom, but Abishalom. He committed all the sins his father had done before him. And remember, this is Jeroboam's son. He committed all the sins his father had done before him. His heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God. And I also noticed in the previous recording, I accidentally said Rehoboam was the son of Samuel, when I should have said the son of Solomon. If you caught that, good job. I was just tired last night, so I didn't catch myself. Alright, so he did all this bad stuff. He reigned in Jerusalem 3 years. His mother's name was Maacah, daughter of Abishalom. He committed all the sins his father had done before him. His heart was not fully devoted to the Lord his God. Once again, as the heart of David, his forefather, had been. Nevertheless, for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem by raising up a son to succeed him, and by making Jerusalem strong. So the Davidic promise is still living on. For David had done what was right in the eyes of the Lord, and had not failed to keep any of the Lord's commands all the days of his life, except in the case of Uriah the Hittite. So we see how God's faithful to the promise, and he's even merciful. There was war between Abijah and Jeroboam throughout Abijah's lifetime. As for the other events of Abijah's reign, and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? This is the first time we've heard a statement like that. We're going to hear stuff like that, I'm pretty sure, just repeatedly for the rest of 1st Kings and probably 2nd Kings, and I could be wrong, but I think we're going to hear that for a lot of even 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Just this, like, if you want to hear more, are they not recorded in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah, or something very close to that? So we just see how well record keeping, how diligent people were with record keeping back then. Oh, we got here. I'm going to let you see my bird up here. He's making a total fool of himself, but it's good. It's a good thing. Alright, so the annals of the kings of Judah, there was war between Abijah and Jeroboam, and Abijah rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David, and Asa, his son, succeeded him as king. So, I guess Jeroboam is still alive, and Abijah has already died. Anyway, and Abijah is probably the better way to say that, and Abijah rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David, and Asa, his son, succeeded him as king. Asa, king of Judah, in the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Israel, Asa became king of Judah, and he reigned in Jerusalem 41 years. That's a long reign. I think that's 1 year longer than Saul or David or Solomon. and he reigned in Jerusalem for 41 years. His grandmother's name was Maacah, daughter of Abba Shalom. Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, so he's a good king, as his father David had done. He expelled them. You wonder why Asa's not better known if he reigned that long, and he was a good king for the most part. Seems like we would know more about King Asa and church culture. So Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, as his father David had done. He expelled the male shrine prostitutes from the land and got rid of all the idols his ancestors had made. He even deposed his grandmother, Maacah, from her position of queen mother, because she had made a repulsive image for the worship of Asherah. Asa cut it down and burnt it in the Kidron Valley, although he did not remove the high places. Asa's heart was fully committed to the Lord of all his life, and he brought into the temple of the Lord the silver and the gold articles, and he and his father had dedicated. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, throughout their reigns. And Baasha, king of Israel, went up against Judah and fortified Ramah to prevent anyone from leaving or entering the territory of Asa, king of Judah. Asa then took all the silver and gold and gold that was left in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and of his own place. He entrusted it to his officials and sent them to Ben-Hadad, son of Tab-Rimmon, the son of Hezion, the king of Aram, who is ruling in Damascus. Let there be a treaty between me and you, he said, as there was between my father and your father. See, I am sending you a gift of silver and gold. Now break your treaty with Baasha, king of Israel, so he will withdraw from me. Interesting. So there's still discord between the king of Judah and the king of Israel, I guess. And Ben-Hadad agreed with King Asa and sent the commanders of his forces against the towns of Israel. He conquered Ihon, Dan, Abel, Beth, Maacah, and Kinnereth, in addition to Naphtali. When Baasha heard this, he stopped building Ramah and withdrew to Tirzah. Then King Asa issued an order to all of Judah. No one was exempt, and they carried away from Ramah the stones and timber Baasha had been using there. With them, King Asa built up Gibeah in Benjamin and also Mitzpah. As for all the other events of Asa's reign, all his achievements, and all he did in the cities he built, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? In his old age, however, his feet became diseased. Ooh. Poor Asa. Yeah. So yeah, there is that qualifier again. If you want to hear more, look into the annals of the kings of Judah. But then in his old age, however, his feet became diseased, and then Asa rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of his father David. And Jehoshaphat, his son, succeeded him as king. Jehoshaphat, I think he's more famous than Asa, which is interesting. I just don't understand. He ruled for 4 decades and 1 year. Why don't we know more about Asa. But I guess if we wanted to know, we could open the annals of the kings of Judah and we could hear more. Nadab, son of Jeroboam, became king of Israel in the 2nd year of Asa, king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel 2 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So we're kind of like we're rotating records from kings of Judah and kings of Israel here. So this is the king of Israel, Jeroboam's son, Nadab, and he did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the ways of his father and committing the same sin in his father had caused Israel to commit. Baasha, son of Abijah, from the tribe of Issachar, plotted against him, and he struck him down at Gibeah, a Philistine town, while Nadab and all Israel were besieging it. Baasha killed Nadab in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and succeeded him as king. As soon as he began to reign, he killed Jeroboam's whole family. He did not leave Jeroboam. Oh, wow. This is crazy. Baasha, son of Abijah, the tribe of Israel, plotted against him. Just another murderous moment. Baasha, son of Ahijah, from the tribe of Issachar, plotted against him, and he struck him down at Gibeah, a Philistine town, while Nadab and all Israel were besieging it. Baasha killed Nadab in the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, and succeeded him as king. Alright, so yeah, Nadab didn't rule for long. Nadab didn't rule for long because Baasha was in the mix, and Baasha had murder on his mind. As soon as he began to reign, he killed Jeroboam's whole family. He did not leave Jeroboam anyone that had breathed, but destroyed them all according to the work of the Lord given through his servant Ahijah the Shilonite. This happened because of the sins that Jeroboam had committed and had caused Israel to commit, and because he aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel. As for the other events of Nadab's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? So there's the annals of the kings of Judah and the annals of the kings of Israel. There was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Israel, throughout their reigns. In the 3rd year of Asa, king of Judah, Baasha, son of Ahijah, became king of all Israel in Tirzah, and he reigned 24 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, following the ways of Jeroboam, even though he killed all of Jeroboam's family. And committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. We're going to just march straight into chapter 16 here. We'll probably just do 2 chapters. Then the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hananiah, concerning Baasha. I lifted you up from the dust and appointed you ruler over my people Israel, but you followed the ways of Jeroboam and caused my people Israel to sin, to arouse my anger by their sins. So I'm about to wipe out Baasha and his house, and I will make your house like that of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Dogs will eat those belonging to Baasha who die in the city, and birds will feed on those who die in the country. I mean, that just seems to be like a very a very common taunt in like ancient times. Like the first time I hear that taunt, that I think of that taunt where it's like dogs, the wild beasts will feed on your flesh and the birds of the air, is when Goliath and David are talking smack back and forth. And now even God's saying this to Baasha, just saying, listen, buddy, like I raised you up, but you didn't follow my ways. Instead, you just followed the ways of the dude you replaced. And now the dogs are going to eat your flesh, and the birds of the air are going to eat you and your family. Just kind of a standard taunt, I guess. And I mean more than a taunt, it's a straight up like prediction from God, right? But still, like very graphic and jarring. As for the other events of Baasha's reign, what he did and his achievements, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Baasha rested with his ancestors and was buried in Tirzah. And Elah, his son, succeeded him as king. So Tirzah is like a city. I have a friend whose name is Tirzah. I wonder why they picked that name for her. I wonder if there's like something greater about that city, or if it's just a pretty sounding, because it is a very, very pretty name. Tirzah almost sounds like a precious gem or something, at least in my mind. Maybe we'll hear more about the city of Tirzah. Moreover, the word of the Lord came through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani, to Baasha in his house, because of all of the evil he had done in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger by the things he had done, becoming like the house of Jeroboam, and also because he destroyed it. In the 26th year of Asa, king of Judah, Elah, the son of Baasha, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Tirzah 2 years. Zimri, one of his officials who was commanding on behalf of his chariots, plotted against him, and Elah was in Tirzah at the time, getting drunk in the home of Arza, the palace administrator at Tirzah. And Zimri came in, struck him down, and killed him in the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah. Then he succeeded him as king. So they're using that's kind of like that's kind of like it's just telling how long Asa was king. You know, he was king for 41 years. So the Israeli kingdom started to measure their king's reigns by what year Asa was reigning out in Judah. So Asa was king 27 years when Elah was killed. As soon as he began to reign and was seated on the throne, he killed off Baasha's whole family. He did not spare a single male. That sounds like how Baasha treated Jeroboam's family. Now, this guy named Zimri is doing the same thing to Baasha's family that Baasha did to Jeroboam's. So Zimri destroyed the whole family of Baasha in accordance with the word of the Lord spoken against Baasha through the prophet Jehu, because of all the sins Baasha and his son Elah had committed and had caused Israel to commit, so that they aroused the anger of the Lord and the God of Israel by their worthless idols. Let's just make sure, because of all of the sins Baasha. Yep, alright. As for the other events of Elah's reign and all that he did, are they not written in the annals of the book of the kings of Israel? Zimri, king of Israel. In the 27th year of Asa, the king of Judah, Zimri reigned in Tirzah 7 days. Zimri didn't reign long. Wow. That's got to be the shortest reign I've ever heard of. In the 27th year of Asa, king of Judah, Zimri reigned in Tirzah 7 days. The army was encamped near Gibeah, Philistine town, and when Israelites in the camp heard that Zimri had plotted against the king and murdered him, they proclaimed Omri, the commander of the army, king of Israel, that very day there in the camp. Wow. Yeah, so Zimri's already running up into adversity here, because I guess all these soldiers preferred this guy named Omri. King over Israel that very day in the camp. Then Omri and all the Israelites with him withdrew from Gibeah and laid siege to Tirzah. And when Zimri saw that the city was taken, he went into the citadel of the royal palace and set the palace on fire around him, so he died. He burned himself to death? That's crazy, because of the sins he had committed, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord and following the ways of Jeroboam, and committing to the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit. So, Jeroboam, Baasha, Zimri, and now Omri. As for the other events of Zimri's reign and the rebellion he carried out, are they not written in the books of the annals of the kings of Israel? And Omri, king of Israel, this is Omri's account. Man, all these guys just knock off pretty fast. Then the people of Israel were split into two factions, wouldn't you know it? Half supported Tibni, son of Gimeneth, for king, and the other half supported Omri. Both Omri's followers proved stronger than those of Tibni, son of Gimet, and so Tibni died and Omri became king. I mean, it sounds like Omri has command over the army, so that makes sense. In the 31st year of Asa, king of Judah, Omri became king of Israel, and he reigned 12 years, 6 of them in Tirzah. He bought the hill of Samaria from Shemar for 2 talents of silver and built a city on the hill, calling it Samaria, after Shemar, the name of the former owner of the hill. But Omri did evil in the eyes of the Lord and sinned more than all of those before him. Jeez, Omri, you had such kind of a promising start, I want to say, with having so much command over so many men. But he did worse than everybody before him, and he followed completely the ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, committing the same sin Jeroboam had caused Israel to commit, so that they aroused the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, by their worthless idols. Man. Well, as for the other events of Omri's reign, what he did and the things he achieved, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Omri rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria, and Ahab and his sons succeeded him as king. Ahab becomes king of Israel. In the 38th reign, I mean, look at how Israel's just packing in those kings while Asa is just maintaining, because he's a good king. In the 38th year of Asa's king, 8th year of Asa, king of Judah, Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel, and he reigned in Samaria over Israel 22 years. So Ahab's the one who sees Asa die, but only because Asa's an old man, finally. Ahab, son of Omri, did more evil in the eyes of the Lord than any of those before him. And he not only considered it trivial to commit the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, but he also married Jezebel. Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. Jezebel, daughter of ASA, king of the Sidonians, and began to serve Baal and worship. And I want to say that the Sidonians were the ones that supplied the cedars of Lebanon back in Solomon's day. But they must have been a much more upright kingdom back then, because Jezebel, as we know, is no good. He began to serve Baal and worship him because of Jezebel, and he set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal that he built in Samaria. And Ahab also made an Asherah pole and did more to arouse the anger of the Lord, the God of Israel, than did all the kings of Israel before him. In Ahab's time, Hill of Bethel rebuilt Jericho. He laid its foundations at the cost of his firstborn son. Let me just read that again. In Ahab's time, Hill of Bethel rebuilt Jericho. He laid its foundations at the cost of his firstborn son Abiram, and he set up its gates at the cost of his youngest son Segub, in accordance with the word of the Lord spoken by Joshua, son of Nun. Elijah announces a great drought. Now, Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe in Gilead said to Ahab, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the new years except at my word." So Elijah is now the prophet, and he is going to, at least from my mind's eye, he's the prophet who's going to kind of deliver Israel from these kings, which is funny, because there was all of that fuss in Samuel's day. Israel longed for a king so badly to almost deliver, at least from Israel's point of view, a king was going to deliver them from kind of the oppressive rule of Samuel and God. And now God is delivering Israel from the oppressive rule, the foolish rule of these kings. Back into the hands of this prophet named Elijah. Alright, so Elijah announces a great drought. He says there's not going to be dew or rain until my word. And verse 2 in chapter 17. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, "Leave here, turn eastward, and hide in the Kithroth ravine, east of Jordan. You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there." So he's the prophet who is fed by the ravens, and this is even before his big moment. So Elijah and ravens have some pretty special ties. He's almost kind of like John the Baptist, He made good friends with the creatures out there in the desert too. Alright, so he's getting fed by ravens and stuff. So he did what the Lord God had told him, and he went to Kirith Ravine, east of Jordan, and stayed there. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. Verse 6, Elijah and the widow at Zarephath. Sometime later, the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land, and then the word of the Lord came to him, "Go at once to Zarephath." Hey, you're being loud. You're being loud. Then the word of the Lord came to him, "Go out at once to Zarephath in the region of Sidon, and stay there. I have directed a widow there to supply you with food." And he went to Zarephath, and he came to the town gate. A widow was there, gathering sticks. He called to her and asked, "Would you bring me a little water in the jar so I may have something to drink?" And this just strikes me like, I think I have a problem with believing in God's provision. And it's probably because I see all of these like ridiculous pictures of wealth, whether it's like basketball players, because I love to watch basketball, who make like millions of dollars, or it's politicians or world leaders or celebrities of some kind. And I just think that like, if I was actually doing the right stuff, then like I would be living fat on that pig too. I wouldn't be starving. I wouldn't be barely paying my bills. I'm not starving, but I'm not rich, you know. And I think sometimes I think that I'm like off God's path because I don't have that wealth. But here we can see that like even the prophet Elijah is being fed by ravens, and then a brook dries up, and then he goes to this town called Zarephath, and this widow meets up with him who is just gathering sticks. She's clearly not wealthy either. And this man of God, Elijah, this prophet, is basically just his daily bread is being promised to him, just like the Israelites when they were leaving Egypt. And like, yet they were right in the center of God's will. And like, I don't know. There were some leaders from my church who were praying over me a few weeks ago, and like, one of the things that we came away with in that prayer time is like, what would you do, Michael, if God did give you enough? And that was just really, that still is challenging to me. I think, like, I just wonder why I have such a hard time believing in his provision, if that makes sense. My birds are just freaking wilding right now. Yeah. So maybe I'll just say a quick prayer in that regard. Lord, I just pray that you would just, this day, that you would give me the trust that every little thing that you give me is what you intend to give me, and I don't have to worry about provision. I don't have to question whether I've been given enough. And I can believe that even if I'm just being given a little bit, that is enough. It's enough for me to live with joy. All right. So this widow is gathering sticks. He called to her and asked, "Will you bring me a little water in a jar so I may have a quick drink?" May I have a drink? As she was going to get it, he called and bring me please a piece of bread. Man, that's so, it seems kind of daft, doesn't it? Because, like, she's probably just struggling to make her own ends meet. As surely as the Lord God lives, she replied, I do not have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar and a little olive oil in a jug. I am gathering a few sticks to take home and make a meal for myself and my son, and then so that we may eat it and die. Look at that. I mean, it's so sparse. And this is God's will. I don't think it's God's will that we starve, but I think it is His will to all of a sudden breathe thriving and joy and life into situations that are dead and sparse. And that's what we're about to see here. Elijah said to her, don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said, but first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son, for this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. She went away and did this, as Elijah had told her. So there was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and her family. For the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord God had spoken to Elijah. Sometime later, the son of the woman who owned the house became ill. He grew worse and worse, and finally stopped breathing. She said to Elijah, what do you have against me, man of God? Did you come to remind me of my sin and kill my son? Give me your son, Elijah replied. He took him from his arms, carried him to the upper room where he was staying, and laid him on his bed. This sounds like Jesus healing that girl who had died. Then he cried out to the Lord, Lord, my God, have you brought tragedy even on this widow I'm staying with by causing her son to die? Then he stretched himself out on the boy 3 times and cried out to the Lord, Lord, my God, let this boy's life return to him. The Lord heard Elijah's cry, and the boy's life returned to him, and he lived. As Elijah picked up the child and carried him down from the room into the house, he gave him to his mother and said, look, your son is alive. Then the woman said to Elijah, now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth. What a touching story. You know, we can poke fun at her all we want and say that her faith wasn't great enough, but the struggle that woman went through is clearly something that very few of us will ever understand. And then losing her son on top of that, just not easy. It's so beautiful that God gave her that moment of clarity and life and joy, rejuvenated. Lord, thank you for that. Well, it's a beautiful day, everybody. There's the view outside my window. It's a very beautiful day. The blossoms are out. You can even see some blossoms there by the roof of that house. And I'm gonna go on a walk, I think. Here's my birds. Yep. The blue one is owl. And the green one is Bebo. Yep. And that was just cool. That was a good chapter to end off all of those corrupt kings. And now our focus has gone from these corrupt kings to this humble prophet and this humble widow. What does that remind us of? Like, blessed are the poor. All right, I'll see you guys. 1 Kings chapter 18 will be our next reading. That'll probably be at Denny's tonight up in Vancouver. All right, see you, man. Or woman.